thing. We never thought that we'd be interviewing some of the people we are, and then watching you on YouTube and stuff. And now all of a sudden we're interviewing you. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so basically, let's just get into kind of who you are for those people that may not have seen your exotic YouTube videos. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
Well, I'm Justin, born and raised in Winnipeg. I moved up to Baker Lake, Nunavut, maybe a year and a half ago or so now. I got up into Nunavut because of my job. I work in healthcare, and obviously the amazing fishing that comes with being in the north influenced my decision to come up here. And here we are. I decided to start a YouTube channel just given the fairly exotic location that I'm in. I figured people might be interested in seeing a little part of our country that a lot of people don't, most people don't get to experience, being so remote and everything. And yeah, that's the deal. Been kicking it up here for a year and a half, and trying to keep going and making videos and showing off this little hidden gem in our country.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's like you said. Not many people, even like you talk to anyone south of the border of us here, and they've never even heard of the territories and stuff up there. But I think even people in Canada alone don't like that seems to slip people's mind a lot, which is too bad because it is amazing up there, but also a place that unless you're going up there like you are for work, it's kind of a difficult trip to make, is it not?
Oh yeah, it's quite remote, and the airline fees are just like outrageous. I think for a round trip from here probably cost between 5 and 6 grand, which is
Oh wow.
which is insane for traveling within our own country. So yeah, it limits people coming up here, but
No, yeah,
That's
for
but
like
yeah,
sure.
a that's like the cost of a fly-in fishing trip, basically.
yeah, legitimately, like you can fly to Europe and Australia and things for cheaper than that. So it's
Yeah.
outrageous.
So does that kind of limit how much you're heading back home then and stuff like that?
Yeah, that and the whole pandemic business.
True.
It's but there's loopholes to get around it. Like you can buy air miles and things like that to get back and forth, but it's not always a surefire thing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
it's a challenge,
Yeah.
but
So
it's
I
worth it.
guess
The
I
juice is
guess
worth
with
the squeeze.
oh exactly. I guess you mentioned that you grew up. You said in Winnipeg, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, I went and fished Selkirk there for the very
hmm
first time this year, and I can see now why you see it all over YouTube and basically lots of Manitoba all over YouTube. But the fishing there is just incredible. So is that kind of did you grow up fishing the red, or was it other places
Yeah,
around there?
yeah. That's pretty much where it all began. Um, not so much Selkirk at first, but the red that does flow down through Winnipeg. Just fishing within the city. It's kind of where it all began, catching just catfish off the shore, and one thing led to another, and yeah, next thing you know, moving away from where I was born and raised to chase bigger and better bites.
Yeah, for sure. I guess that lots of people here, like we've got the river going through Saskatoon and whatnot, and like the fishing can be really great there. But I think if you were to compare the two, just the diversity of species and stuff in the red, and like when we went, it was you'd see a bite coming, but you never knew what it was going to be. Like it was I think that was the coolest thing. It wasn't like, oh, it's only going to be a catfish or it's only going to be a drum kind of thing. Like I thought that was probably the coolest thing is you literally never know kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, without a
yeah,
doubt.
no, I
Yeah, it's a great fishery. There's like two of the probably best fisheries for catfish and for channel cats and walleyes in the red in Lake Winnipeg. I think a lot of people from back home take it for granted, but for if you take a step back and look at it, it's like top notch.
yeah. Yeah, I think the guy at the Smoke and Fish, I believe it's called in
Yeah,
Selkirk.
it's my favorite store
He
in the
said he was
world.
from. Like, they're awesome in there. He actually said he's from Shaunavon here in Saskatchewan, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, he was great in there. And he said we were about 2 weeks early for the walleye run, I guess. and we were talking about how we couldn't believe how many boats there were in the river, and he said that's nothing. Like once the walleyes start running, that he said you can pretty well walk across the boats in that river. So that's something I could only imagine. But
yeah, it gets pretty busy.
Be crazy.
Well, just the population too, like between Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Like Saskatchewan's got such a small population. I think Winnipeg itself has like probably half the province. But like
more
yeah, I mean, I've never I've never been to Lake Winnipeg, but like were you fishing big mama greenbacks before you headed up north to Nunavut, or?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like it's not the go-to fishery for me. It's kind of boring. It's just like a big sandy bowl, and you just move fish till you kind of get into them. But like, how can you not? For it being like 45 minutes away from my front door back home, it's like it's tough to turn down those opportunities.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah.
So I guess you mentioned you started a YouTube channel. If we can rewind way back. With the Manitoba boys there, you got Aaron from Uncut, and then you got Jay, who I guess used to film for Aaron. Did you know those guys before the YouTube and stuff like that, or?
Yeah. It's kind of a funny story. It goes way back how I met Aaron and Jay. Back when I was, like I mentioned, fishing the shores of Red River within the city of Winnipeg. I joined up on a fishing forum, the local Manitoba fishing boards, and being the dumb, I think I was probably like 14 years old or something like that. Being the dumb kid I was, asking all sorts of stupid, ridiculous questions, just trying to sponge in as much info as I can. So Aaron, who I did not know at all at the time, shot me a little private message and said, instead of asking all these dumb questions, why don't I just come take you out fishing? So as a 14-year-old young man, I brought the topic up with my parents, and they had no qualms about me going out fishing with the strange man from the internet. And so Aaron came to my parents' house to pick me up, and first met him with his hands on my front kitchen window, staring in, and the rest was history. Yeah, so Aaron and I go back quite a few years now. And Jay met him as well through the fishing boards, and like so many of my like lifelong friends met through the internet and through fishing forums and later Facebook and things. It's pretty amazing the things you can do and learn and who you can meet through the internet. It's unreal. It's changed the fishing world for sure.
Well, exactly. That's how me and Brandon met, was on Instagram, just through DMs there, and that's how lots of the people I fish with, you kind of talk back and forth, and then eventually it's like, oh, well, we should go out fishing sometime, and then all of a sudden you're fishing with them every weekend, or now like this, we're doing a podcast kind of thing. We talk pretty well every day about something to deal with the podcast or fishing and stuff like that. So sometimes just that one message, like you said, can change things totally.
Without a doubt, yeah. It's like I have friends in the fishing world that I consider like buddies, but I've never met them. Like, talk to them on the phone, talk to them on FaceTime and stuff, but I've never physically seen who they are. It's wild.
Yeah,
crazy.
For sure.
And now you're so remote, it's pretty hard to like go hang out with a buddy if they're not up there.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of sucks, this whole pandemic thing, because a lot of people were planning on coming up and coming fishing, but just there's no travel into Nunavut, non-essential travel, so those plans are all put on hold. But
awesome. Yeah, so did you like have anything to do with any of like the recording, like any like video recording for Uncut Angling or anything like that back in the day, or you just kind of hopped in a couple videos? I think I remember it might even be on Jay's channel, like an early video. I just remember seeing some long ginger hair in one video. I'm pretty sure it's you.
That doesn't sound like
it
me.
was you.
Yeah. No, I had nothing to do with all that stuff. Just kind of did my little cameos and helped out if ever they needed a long-haired ginger to come and do some stupid things in front of the camera. So. but
that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I like the whole process of helping them out and doing it. So I thought might as well try it out for myself, and it's been good.
Yeah,
I've been
that's
enjoying it quite a bit.
yeah,
So
it's definitely took it. Sorry,
no,
sorry,
go
Brad.
ahead.
Definitely took everyone by storm. Like I remember you, because did you start just uploading a couple and then kind of like teetered off a bit on the uploads, and then just as of recently kind of started really pumping the videos out.
Yeah, I think I made like my very first video when I first found out that I was going to be going up here to work. Initially, I was just planning to go from place to place, like community to community, and so the plan was to go to a community, make a video, go to the next community, make a video. But I did, I think, two videos in two different communities. Then I came here to Baker Lake, where I'm at now, and decided to settle
Yeah.
down. Just limited, right, with how much you can do going from place to place. Here, now that I set down my roots, I guess you'd say, I got a boat and got a snowmobile, got an ATV, so now I can really start diving into it and getting a little more serious about it. So yeah, I did a couple videos last winter as well. Um, I don't know, like last winter was a little bit more of like an exploration kind of situation. It's like a whole different world up here fishing as compared to what it's like back home. And going and setting up all the camera gear and everything like that really slows down the process. So
Yeah,
I did a couple, decided I'm going to spend more time just kind of figuring things out. And come this winter, I decided it's time to really start pumping them out and grinding it out and making videos. And yeah, so since this November, has been a little more serious with
yeah,
the
for
quantity of
sure.
And
videos.
with the pandemic too, right? There's so many more people at the beginning of the pandemic, especially when everybody was in lockdown. Just sitting back at home, stuck doing nothing, just absorbing, taking in videos, checking this social media, checking that social media, just absorbing so much. So I mean, it was a really good time for you to like really sit back and pump stuff out.
Like no better time, probably. Like what other time
100.
in our lifetimes will there be everybody sitting at home pretty much killing time with whatever sort of media they can, and with YouTube like allowing people to put themselves out there to everybody basically. It's just like the perfect recipe.
Exactly. And like some of the craziest like scenarios too, like some of your videos like it's minus 50 or I mean, we had some of those temperatures here too this year, but like just brutally cold temperatures, but you're out there bearing the weather. I think the one video, what did you have? You had two auger bits and like how
Yeah,
thick does the ice get up there?
last year on some of the smaller lakes that froze up like before the bigger waters that I mostly fish, like 7.5 feet of ice. Right now it's like six and a half or so. Still quite a bit below zero. I think today was actually a bit warmer of a day, 10 below. So it's gonna get a little thicker yet, but yeah, I'm thinking about
Jeez.
7 feet. It'll be at the end of this year.
So yeah, just that in itself, I mean, the amount of work that you have to go through just to drill a hole to wet a line to make a
It's
video.
it's
You know what I
awful.
mean? Like
It's awful.
you're cutting two or three of our holes
Yeah,
in one hole. So I
with
mean,
the
when we're out
electric
there,
too.
yeah, when we're out there pumping 50 or 100 holes, you're out there still probably on your sixth hole.
Six. I don't know about that. It's like you have to take two or three breaks per hole. It's awful.
So I guess
Um,
that's one of the nice trade-offs, right? Is I guess how many are you if you're going out and it's a slower day? How many do you think you're drilling in total?
as few as possible. Like usually one for the transducer because you can't have it in the same hole with such a thickness of ice.
Yeah,
So three usually if I can get away with it. I try not to move too much once I get set up, and I mean I've done it, but yeah, three maybe six holes if I move once.
so do you have to buy an extra long transducer cord?
No, like I mean it probably would be better, but it still reads pretty good. I
Okay,
just make sure the transducer's kind of centered in the hole and the beam seems to be okay.
good enough. Yeah, yeah. No,
I know
that's
some
I
guys
guess that
even
was kind of. Oh, sorry.
So some guys even like in normalized conditions they'll float their transducer. I know Aaron's talked about it quite a few times in his videos, how he keeps his transducer cranked way up, like at all times,
Oh, okay.
and not below the ice. I guess he doesn't see much benefit. I guess he'd have to speak more on that, but yeah, still works, still gets the job done.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Interesting.
Like and the other thing too that I couldn't get over in lots of your videos is how much bait you're finding. Like the bait clouds that you're running into there while you are fishing is just it's crazy how much it's down there.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable that the one spot that I fished there, it's actually the spot that's like 10 minutes away from my place. There's like a kilometer long stretch of shoreline that has like just non-stop thick bait, and they're all like 8 to 12 inch Cisco's. It's like unbelievable.
Okay. Sweet.
Perfect
So I
waters.
guess yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
10 minutes
Um
from home. Like,
but at the same time too, you figure those the 2 to 5 pound lake trout are eating those Cisco's. So if you extrapolate that out to a 50 pounder, what is a 50 pounder eating? It's I almost wonder if those super big ones are chasing different forage
yeah.
yeah.
because if those little dinks are crushing. Like I've caught 3 4 pounders that have had two 10 12 inch Cisco's in their gut at once, and still biting baits.
Wow.
No
Is there much
kidding.
for burbot up there?
Not in the big lake that I fish. Like I've heard of people catching some in nets and very infrequently, but some of the smaller lakes definitely have burbot.
Okay. I was wondering if that's maybe
Haven't
what they
done
were
much.
munching on.
Yeah, and it could be too for sure. Um, but yeah, I haven't done much looking around for them. So hard to want to
Okay.
fish for other species. Like people are asking me, is there any other species to go fishing for? It's like, yeah, maybe I could go catch some 12-inch graylings or a 20-inch whitefish, but like I could also go catch like a 30 or 40 pound lake trout. So
Yeah.
it's a
That might
it's
be
a
some
tough
foreshadowing to
sacrifice
our
to make.
Q&A later.
Yeah.
Speaking of big lake trout, let's get on the topic of what is your biggest lake trout? Because I mean, just scrolling through your Instagram, I mean, obviously, like in your videos, you catch some big lake trout. But what is kind of what's your PB and yeah, open water and ice fishing?
PB open water was caught in a community in Nunavut, north of Baker Lake. Oh, I don't know, quite a bit. Um, Northwest, kind of closer towards NWT. Caught from shore. It was
Wow.
46 inches long with a 25.5 inch girth, and it was just unbelievable. It was at like
From
midnight. It
shore.
was from shore, yeah, midnight in 24/7 sunlight, and I broke my PB just before that one. I think it was a 41.5 inch Laker. 30 minutes later, caught the 46. It was just like life altering 30 minutes of fishing.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty crazy too with the 24-hour sunlight in there as
Oh,
well.
it's
Well,
awesome, yeah.
that's just that's a crazy concept. Like just to to grasp that 24/7 sunlight. Like I
Hmm.
couldn't even
Hmm.
imagine. I wouldn't sleep.
Yeah, I didn't. It was weird. I took a week off after one of my work contracts, and I stayed at a little shack on the land there, and just didn't even follow the time. I just fished until I couldn't fish anymore, and slept till I couldn't sleep anymore, or till I woke up, and then I went back out fishing and did it all over again. Bought a little ATV for like $550 and just ripped around the area fishing for a week long binge.
Man, $550 doesn't get you much nowadays down here.
No, it definitely wasn't much. There's I think more
Yeah.
duct tape than plastic on it, but
Yeah.
You could probably sell that during COVID right now for like 4 grand.
no doubt, eh? Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of
So
those
I
prices
guess
I'm
if we
seeing are.
yeah, if we just rewind a little bit, you mentioned being in healthcare. So is was that kind of always your not necessarily plan, but something you thought about like maybe once I do finish my schooling for this, I'll move up there and kind of take advantage of that opportunity, or was this kind of just like a split decision, I'm going to go do it kind of thing?
Yeah, no, not really. Like it wasn't really in the plans. I don't know. I didn't really have a plan with it, to be honest. But my last workplace was actually in Selkirk, and and I was exposed to the Inuit culture there. The hospital I worked at has a contract where a lot of Inuit people go down for healthcare, and I got to see and talk to people from up here, and I thought like, wow, that sounds like the dream. So I decided to just pack it all up and change my life and come up here and see what it's all about. And it's been awesome.
That's pretty crazy. So is it kind of like that's where you're gonna be, or is there like a set plan for coming back or anything?
I don't know. I'm not really good at making plans, you know. I'm kind of live by the seat of my pants kind of guy.
I mean,
I
you're
mean,
early
I'm
for the
enjoying it.
podcast today.
I
What's
would
that?
never had guessed.
I said
Never
you're
would have
early for the
guessed.
podcast today.
The first time I've ever been early in my life, and it was by accident because you Saskatchewanians, is that what you guys go by? You guys don't
Yeah,
participate in daylight
Saskatchewanians.
savings.
Saskatchewanians.
Yeah.
Saskatchewanians, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you had message. You're like, yeah, I think I'm dialed in, and I'm like, oh, hi. But I guess he's really eager to make sure everything's working like an hour ahead of time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, well, come. We got an hour. I'll see you in an hour. Oh man, I
Yeah.
forgot. You guys aren't on the same time.
Yeah.
I think you guys are like
Yeah,
the only
there's three
place in the
time
whole
zones
world
there.
that doesn't do the daylight savings.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we
I don't know
yeah,
about
we're
that.
one of the. Well, we'll
I don't
take
know
it. We'll take the
yeah.
title.
It's smart though. It's smart. I wish everywhere was like that.
Yeah, it's
Well, we
not
don't have
confusing for us.
we don't
We
have
to change.
24 hours of sunlight either. So
That
Yeah,
is
sure.
true. Yeah.
Do you get
Yeah.
do you get total
Daylight savings
darkness
time
as
doesn't
well?
anything. Not total darkness. In the winter, some of the earlier videos in like November, December, we're getting like maybe 4 hours of daylight. The farther north you go, though, the less daylight in the winter you get, and the more daylight you get in the summer.
Right.
Um, so where I was up in Cambridge Bay, way north, it was like noon for like a month. The sun would just kind of like do little circles above your head. Here at the longest daylight, like it fades like this. It still gets a little darker in the night, but it's fishable daylight 24/7.
Wow.
So got some plans to do some pretty wild things once that happens. Do some camping out on the ice, and there's some spots that are a good trek away from here that have some monstrous fish I've seen last year, and it's just so far away, and it's prime like grizzly bear and wolf territory. So gonna
Yeah.
save that till it's like prime time to fish and
So I
hopefully
didn't
get
even
some good
think about
content there.
that. Um, what are your seasons like? And then I guess you probably you're gonna have ice for a while still, right?
Yeah, I'll probably be. I think last year I was ice fishing the 20th of June was the last time I went out.
Wow. Wow.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. And I was also like I could also shore fish on the big lake at that time too, but there was some lakes, smaller stuff that were still frozen over. So I'm hoping to be
yeah,
done ice fishing by second week of June ish, and in the boat shortly thereafter.
Oh, that's crazy. We put our boat lifts in May long weekend, and the ice has been off for a bit down here.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
wild.
like the
Yeah,
open water season's May 5th.
yeah,
Yeah, like we've
So
ice fished open season, but like started the season a couple years ago. But generally, that's not the case. Usually, at least down south here on Buffalo Pound that I kind of fish right at the start of the season, it's usually off sometime in April, and you're able to put the boat in opening day. But yeah, no, that's crazy to think about that. You're still should still be ice fishing into June.
yeah, and fall time. I think this year first day I was out on the ice was mid October. So it's a long ice season and a short boating season, but
Sweet.
That's absolutely insane.
So I guess
yeah,
that kind of lead into our next thing here. Like you said, you got the boat, you got the sled. Like how different is the fishing up there? Like you said, the trips to get up there is expensive as can be, kind of thing. And then so does that make the sleds as expensive? And I mean, you got a quad for $550, but
yeah. That was a banged up old rig.
yeah,
There it is more like you have to pay the freight and stuff like that, but it's okay. It's not like super inflated. You're just basically paying the cost of cargo and whatnot. So it's decent.
okay, yeah, because that I mean, I couldn't like things already as expensive as they are down here, but I guess there's quite a bit of demand too. But I guess those things are kind of a necessity up there, right? For lots, especially
Without
the
a
sled,
doubt.
probably, eh?
Without a doubt, yeah. More people have ATVs and snowmobiles that they use for their daily commuter than they do vehicles like cars and trucks and stuff.
Well, it's not a bad way. That'd be a fun way to go around town.
Matt, honestly, it's like heartwarming to know that like I can take my snowmobile to work. It's just such a cool thing. And then just rip off
Yeah,
after work and go out on the lake. In 10 minutes, I'll be fish. Well, maybe like an hour after I drill the holes, but I'll get to the spot in 10
yeah,
minutes after work and be fishing.
yeah.
Take
That's
Oh,
the
the
thing.
take.
dog's trying to hop up here again. Back it up, boy.
He's like, I'm in your YouTube videos. I should be in this podcast too.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I think he thinks it's his show in his house and he runs it. But
Where question for you? Where did the name Assorted Meats Fishing Team come from?
I knew that one was gonna come up. It's kind of a
Because
kind of a.
I was on your website the other day and I was looking. I was thinking about purchasing a pair of boxers, and
Those
I
the
was just
wiener
think-
gitchies. You'd be the
And I was just
second. There
thinking
was
of-
one dude that bought them.
I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is a great concept. It definitely goes with the Assorted Meats name. But where
Yeah,
where did
yeah.
the Assorted Meats Fishing Team? Where did that whole idea come from?
Well, that you'd have to go back to not long after I met Aaron, I guess, that little era there, just early into high school. I met my
Knocking on your
good
window?
buddy. Yeah, peeping in more like. But I met my good buddy named Mike Hazel. Shout out Mike Hazel. Him and I, we both just met in high school. Both came to the conclusion that we like fishing, and yeah, just been good buds ever since. The name Assorted Meats came down to a little, I guess, lack of ability to make a decision. One day, we couldn't really figure out which one of us was more of a meathead for some reason. I think one of us called each other a meathead, and we just kind of back and forth with it. So a couple years after of trying to dispute the fact who it was, we decided to watch a UFC event, have a couple of adult beverages, and afterwards settle the score once for all and had a little wrestling match in the backyard for the title of Meathead, which I won. I won the wrestling match, and I guess the following day, once we kind of reviewed our decision-making process that night, we decided that we're all pretty much meatheads. So the Assorted Meats Fishing Team kind of just stuck after that, and it's just something we've hung on to for a long time.
That's awesome.
What did you win for winning that wrestling match? A pair of wiener gitchies?
I won absolutely nothing. He still calls me meathead, so apparently it was absolutely a waste of time. But he knows
Well,
deep
look what
down
it's turned
inside who
into.
won that match. Exactly.
Well, was
exactly.
it? Hang on. Was this a full body wrestling match or was this a leg wrestling match?
Oh, full body, nothing but full body.
Oh, that's awesome. It's kind of funny how names come to be, and that's probably the best
Yeah.
one I've heard so far.
Yeah, just silliness.
Sweet.
Okay, so with your YouTube channel, like obviously with this last year, with the pandemic, people taking in YouTube a little bit more often, you pumping out videos, and not just any kind of fishing videos. I mean, your videos, you have some unique videos. Where do some of the ideas kind of blossom from, or when are you kind of like, okay, this is an idea, I need to make a video on this, or just for reference, like the tampon one. Let's just say the lake trout caught on a tampon. Where do you get those ideas, and when are those like, okay, I'm doing a video on this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's a lot of things that go on between these years that even I can't explain. But honestly, the inspiration from that one came from I posted up a picture of some tube jigs that I got. You send it outdoors tubes. It was a white tube with little red tentacles on the inside, kind of like the those little Strike King leading bait tubes if you've ever seen them. So I posted a picture of those, showing them off on the Instagram, and people said it looked like a tampon. So I guess that got the little hamster running in his wheel, and I thought, let's see if I can actually catch a lake trout on the tampon. And yeah, I guess it kind of worked. But to be
Yeah.
fair, like a lot of that inspiration, like the whole concept of fishing with ridiculous things, like you got to give credit to the goat, Aaron Weeb. He's the one that started all that ridiculousness, fishing with a YouTube play button and a several $1,000 gold coin. Like I don't
And
know,
his own hair.
several ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. His own hair and a musky spinner. He's done some wild things, that guy, and there's no doubt he's kind of like paved the way for the YouTube fishing game, and yeah,
I guess yeah. You also had the cutout of Aaron in one of the
yeah,
videos, and then you also had that buffet of different kinds of meat, kind of going with your name there for the Lakers as well.
yeah, the assorted meats platter.
Yeah. So is it like do you have like is there difficult days up there fishing, or is it pretty like in comparison to back home? What's the like the action like kind of thing?
It depends. When you get into the dog days of winter, which kind of we're just getting past now, it was brutal. I took a week of holidays and like it was just awful. Like I would say it's weird because February was great, which back home February is like the armpit of the winter, but March was
Hmm.
just absolutely terrible. Like I don't think I caught more than a couple fish each time I went out. Um, so I mean, aside from that, it's usually pretty wild, like lots and lots and lots of lake trout. But yeah, that winter's tough. I'm super glad that we're past that now. That was painful.
Yeah. Yeah, how many rods have you snapped? I've seen quite a few in the videos, but like obviously with the
Like
size of lake
today
trout you got
or
there. Yeah.
a couple. I broke a couple rods before. Um, I think I just broke one this season though. But over the course of a lifetime, I
Okay.
don't think I can even count that high.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh, that's
power,
fair. Just
those aggressive hook sets. You're bound to break a rod or two.
oh yeah, exactly. You got well. That's what I've learned, especially ice fishing for the Lakers. You really got to lay into them, and then you add in ice fishing, and then you add in the sides of the Lakers that you have there too. The power you need behind that hook set is pretty crazy.
It's a dangerous game. It's exhilarating.
Yeah. So, like, did you have anything else before we hopped into the Q&A, Brandon?
Uh, Not really. I mean, most of what I was curious about has been answered.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't know. We have about 6 questions here for you in the Q&A.
Right on.
Okay. Well, I mean, one has been answered. Is how did you meet Jay Siemens? So that's kind of been answered. That's through fishing forums and just being a quirky little teenager.
Yeah, yeah, pretty well. We've gone on a couple fishing trips when we were kids, and the rest was history.
There you go. Okay. Well, I will jump into the next one. Okay, you answered the one. What is your biggest lake trout? But what is your biggest pike and walleye?
Biggest.
If you even fish those species.
Actually, the first fish I ever caught was a pike, and ever since then, I've kind of not really cared too much for them. But they're pike are okay. It's just like a diet muskie. But I don't know. I don't know if I've ever caught like I don't know if I've ever fished for pike and caught one that I've been like super stoked about. It's something that I've wanted to fish a little more in the winter and spring, but pike are a long way
Yeah.
from here, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. But I would say probably like low 40s, I would think, but that's not confirmed.
So is there not like lots of the like I don't know the exact places where obviously species are and stuff, but you're saying there's not much for pike around you?
No, they call them northern pike, but they don't come this far north.
Oh.
It seems kind of like pike chill around the tree line, and if you don't know, up here in Nunavut, there's no trees. So you can go to the east. I think there's a lake like maybe 300, 400 kilometers east that has pike, um, and I don't know, maybe like 600 kilometers south, if I'm not mistaken, and there's
Okay.
pike, but just not around here.
Okay, so this might be a dumb question leading up to that, but so is it what's it like for walleye? Like nothing there as well?
No,
Nothing.
no, it's
Okay, I
southern.
kind of assumed walleye wouldn't be, but
Yeah, like in southern parts of Nunavut, there's some walleyes, and again to the east. But yeah, up here, no walleyes. It's pretty. It's like the conditions are pretty rough. Like the
Yeah.
climate, a lot of fish just can't hack it.
so I guess yeah, like obviously with you target the Lakers mostly, but what say you could target anything you wanted? What are your choices up there? Like in a vicinity of you?
Um, yeah, within the vicinity, in the winter, it's kind of tough because a lot of the species around here hibernate. Like there's Arctic char, but they basically stay dormant all winter long. Um, the ones that are connected to waters that reach the sea, anyways. I know there's some landlocked char and stuff in certain places in the world that will bite all winter, but any char that are connected to waters that connect to the ocean just sit dormant all winter, which is wild. But yeah, there's char outside of winter time. They should be picking up in, I don't know, maybe a month or so, which I do plan to get some videos filmed of ice fishing for char. There's graylings. They also are dormant pretty well all winter. I think they just kind of hide in the deep holes in the rivers and stuff, and not really targetable. Besides from that, I guess it's like ciscos and whitefish, and that's pretty well the spectrum of species that can be caught up here.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I always just think
Yeah,
of
it's
like
wild.
when you think, at least when I'm thinking of those places, like anywhere basically north of your line there into the territories and stuff. I always just think like, oh, there's probably so many species, so many different things, and they're all huge and stuff like that. From what you see from lots of the lodges and stuff like that up in those areas, but I never really thought about how little diversity there might be in some of the places as well too, with how like you said how crazy the conditions and stuff are up there as well.
Yeah, it's wild. So that just kind of goes to show like the population of lake trout that's probably in these lakes is it's probably like nuts. There's probably like it's mostly lake trout because lake trout are basically the predators and everything else is the prey, really.
Yeah. So I guess I'll get one here. It's from Andy Hunter Fishing. We kind of talked about what it's like to get there, to get up to where you are, and how like the prices on some things aren't too bad. But when it comes to tackle, what's that like? Are you pretty well ordering everything online, or is there some local tackle shops and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's everything is ordered.
Okay.
There's like three stores here, two grocery stores and one like little convenience store. They have a little section for fishing, which has like a couple lures and some line and stuff, but not very much at all. So yeah, I'm ordering everything online. Like
Okay.
aside
And
from
then I
the
guess the fall.
essentials and like food and stuff,
Yeah.
everything gets ordered.
Okay. So then I guess the follow up to that is, what are you looking at for shipping times?
It depends. With this pandemic, it's been so much longer, which is painful. I'm like immediate immediate gratification generation. Like, I need it now, and I don't plan ahead
Yeah.
very well. So sometimes that kind of turns around and bites me. But usually I'd say 2 weeks is probably standard. Sometimes a little longer. You'll get the odd thing that
Okay.
shows up in a week, and it's like mind blowing. But I'd say 2 weeks is probably the average.
That's not actually too terrible, all things considered. Like obviously we can get things, we can order it on a Thursday and get it on like a Tuesday kind of thing, but like
Hmm.
for where you are and stuff like that, that's actually not bad. But also
Yeah,
it is nice, like you said, instant gratification when you can basically order it and sometimes show up in a couple days.
no doubt,
What,
no
you
doubt.
don't
No
have
Amazon
that?
Prime up here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you don't have an Amazon Prime account.
No, I wish. I wish.
No 2-day guarantee.
No, no, no.
Okay, on to the next. I don't know, you kind of touched on some Arctic char here, but I don't know, this is from BK Mekar.
Oh,
Why aren't you targeting
Brendan Malley.
why aren't you
He's Char Daddy.
why aren't is he okay, is that what is it? BKM char? That's
Yeah,
his okay.
he's
Why
the
aren't
man.
you
He's a fish
targeting
fish
anything?
biologist. I already know
Oh,
what
is
this
he?
question is. Why aren't you targeting char?
Yeah.
Always, he doesn't have no love for lake trout. He's a snob. He's a fish
Yeah.
biologist. He's my boy. He's actually one of the guys I was talking about. How I have buddies in the fishing world that I've never met face to face. Like I've probably
Yeah.
spent more hours talking to this guy than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've never met him in real life, and I've known him for years, and he's like the guy that gave me all my intel for char fishing and yeah. So why don't I fish for char? Because they don't bite in the winter, Brendan.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you've told him that already.
he put
Well,
a
I have. He
PS.
knows.
He put a PS. He'll understand with a winky face.
Of course he did. He's the one that
Yeah.
taught me everything I know about char. He's just being cheeky, that boy.
Cheeky char guy.
Yeah.
Cheeky char
Oh, that was
guy.
a
He
good
should
one.
change his Instagram handle.
So we've got another one here from Zach Brown. He asks if
Not the band.
not the band again. This is the second episode in a row.
This
with
Zach
him
Brown is
asking.
bigger than that Zach Brown.
Yeah, but do you know him as well?
Just like seeing him on the social
okay.
medias and things. He's a big deal.
Okay.
Lake trout and pike angler.
Okay, so he says you're only allowed one lure to fish for lake trout for the rest of your life. What are you using and why?
If I were to
Tampon.
Tampon, yeah. That might be my second choice. But I think it'd have to be white tube. The white tube just seems to get it done when all else fails. It's just the deal. I don't know what it is about the tube. It's got that nice little motion, but it just seems to be the go-to.
White tube over glow tube?
Yeah. I'm not a glow guy. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I've tried it out. I've played around with it. It's just, you have your confidence baits and your baits that you have no love for. I do like glow better than chartreuse. But I hate chartreuse, despite the color of this hat.
I was just gonna say, why do you have one of those hats, or why do you pick one of those hats for your merch?
Well, I don't use these hats to catch lake trout. To be fair, it just
true.
looks practical and stylish.
There we go. Actually, Brian, we've had two more questions come in live here as we have been recording. I don't know if you saw those or not.
Late
Oh,
breaking.
have we? Yeah, I chucked up another story.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Fair enough.
What was your first favorite lure? The one that really got you into fishing?
That's from Andy Hunter.
I don't know. You can take that into another way too. Like, I don't know if it was your first lure, or maybe what was your first fishing moment that like you're like, okay, I'm hooked. Like,
Yeah, well, that's kind of two different questions, and I think I can answer both of them, I suppose. I mean, I've always loved fishing. Like, even as a kid, I've been like, the kid that was out at the lake, walking up and down the ditches, looking for what kind of little creatures were swimming around in the water. But I think the moment that really like got me like nuts for fishing was first time I ever hooked a big channel cat out on the dock from the shore, and seeing that big mammoth channel cat surface. It was just like life altering. It was like so effing big, and just like took my breath away. And it's just like, wow, I need to do this all the time. So yeah, that moment is the one that I think sticks out the most. In terms of lure, I think the lure that made me kind of open my eyes to lures more was the first time I ever used like a Rapala crankbait. I think it was a shad wrap. Just like feeling that motion, it kind of just like it kind of like turned on a light bulb. I was just a kid, maybe like, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old, and it just like realizing that there's so much more to fishing and using lures than just casting out this little twister tail or spoon, and having this bait that's doing so much down there and making a lot of noise.
Yeah. Sweet.
and there's
Let's say
so
shad
many
wrap.
different freaking lures. Shad wrap?
Oh, I'd say shad wrap. And yeah, so many lures,
Yeah,
it's
there's
like
just-
overwhelming. It's ridiculous.
Yes. So
Well,
many
that's the
lures,
thing, too.
so many different techniques, so many different variables in every aspect of fishing.
Well, that's the thing with
Without
the
a
red
doubt.
too. Is it seems like you can catch everything in there with a pickerel rig too, so you don't even have to really get into the lures.
Yeah,
as much
exactly.
as
Like,
you do in other places.
yeah, like I think you're better off in the red for pretty well every single species using a pickerel rig and bait than you are with, trying to cast lures or troll lures and stuff.
You don't
Although
troll for the
these,
big channel cats in there?
oh no, definitely not channel cats. No, so I know some guys will troll cranks for walleyes and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I guess spoons and stuff and rattle baits for walleyes nowadays are a big deal, but yeah, the old jigging minnow or jigging pickerel rig in the summer it seems to get it done. I don't use them
Yeah,
personally,
for
of course,
sure.
but other people.
No. Yeah.
Check out a pickerel rig for a lake trout.
Oh, there's
you
a
imagine?
content idea right there. It would work for sure.
50-pound lake trout on her pickerel rig.
A
You'd
picker
probably
rig
just
hooked
get
with
tangled
a-
up in the
just-
hooks and get.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess another one here that came in live was from Mr. Luran. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Looks like he fishes the chain lakes around here, but he says, what is his job up there before becoming a full-time YouTuber? So obviously we talked about what you do for a job, but I like that one.
Yeah, well, my official title is mental health nurse, so I work with people within the community with mental health issues, and yeah,
And
that's
so
what I
so not
took
a
right out of high
full-time
school, and that's what
YouTuber
I've been
yet.
doing forever. Not yet, no.
Yeah.
Especially not lately. I don't know. I think it's been blizzards 4 weekends in a row now, so I haven't really been able to get out much, but tides are turning, starting to get nice. Gonna be going on them binges now.
It's not a whole lot different out this direction. I mean, I think Saturday was like plus 16 or plus 17, and then Sunday was like we got like 3 feet of snow or 2 feet of snow. Like it was just
It's wild. It's wild.
a light switch. I'm like, yeah, couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
People
we were like
pulling
8
out
or
their
9 inches by
snowmobiles.
us. Yeah.
No doubt.
Exactly.
I'm not a meteorologist or anything, but like, how does that happen? The climate in Canada sometimes is just like, it's ridiculous.
I think
Thanks
we
to-
Saskatchewanians take pride in that. That's just Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think our climates are pretty close. Not here, but in Manitoba and Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
We're both kind of in that little armpit of Canada.
Yeah, for
Armpit.
sure. So I
Yeah.
guess Brandon, did you want to take this last one here to kind of finish things off?
Which was the last one?
All right, I guess I can ask it.
You can take her.
What are kind of your goals with fishing? Like obviously we all like to catch fish and stuff, but is there something I guess bigger than just going out there and catching lake trout kind of thing?
Yeah, fishing's never something that I've really set goals for, other than like the run of the mill catch a fish X size kind of situation. But I don't know, with this YouTube thing, it's just kind of rejuvenated my love for fishing. Like I just really just want to keep going and doing this and being an idiot on camera, making people laugh, making different entertaining content. It's gets me out of bed in the morning nowadays. So I guess, yeah, to answer your question, just keep grinding it out and keep making this content, because I'm loving it, and I'm glad people seem to be enjoying it too.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is your personality for sure. It's like I was telling Brandon before you got in the call here that when we were making deer sausage, me and some buddies, I think, what was it? Must have been in December sometime, I feel like. But anyways, we were making that and we just went on the computer and I was like, oh, you check out this lake trout fishing video, and it was one of yours. And then we were making sausage for the next like 6 hours, and all we did, your videos just, once one finished, the next one started, and the next one started, and it just kept going like that. I think we watched every
I
video that
appreciate
you'd
that.
put up to that point, but yeah,
That's
Bought,
awesome.
it bought,
That's
that
awesome.
bought
I
him
love it.
groceries that week.
yeah. Running that ad revenue.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
But yeah,
No,
I
they're
think we're
definitely
gonna
entertaining.
cap the Q&A at that. There's nothing too crazy, no deep dark secrets or anything like that. So
Not the name.
we'll let you.
Easy.
We'll let you sit on any of those things. We don't need to get those out in the public. But
Ain't nobody want to hear that.
anyways, we do appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us, Justin. Is there anything that you kind of want to drop or say, or where can people find you? Is there any last words?
No, just thankful. Appreciate you guys having me on here. If you want to find the YouTube channel, it's Justin Jenken Assorted Meats on YouTube. Go check it out for more ridiculous fishing lures such as tampons and assorted meat. And yeah, appreciate it, boys. It was nice to be here.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
nice meeting you and getting to chat with you, and thank you again for coming on.
And if
Absolutely.
you are looking for some wiener boxers, head on over to his website.
Yeah,
And you can definitely
www.assortedmeats.com.
and you can
I guess,
definitely
yeah.
snag yourself a pair of those and maybe a hoodie and a hat. And
Yeah, well, I guess
That's a
before we
perfect
send it off,
outfit.
what all do you got on there?
Well, my buddy Cody, he's I call him the Bald Wizard because he's been just whipping up all these ridiculous things. Like we got a company down, I think it's like South Carolina or something like that, that makes these. It's like order on demand kind of thing or print on demand. So he's been just whipping up
yeah,
all these different designs like wiener gitches and hoodies and hats and shirts and coffee mugs. I don't know. You have to check it out. I don't even know what's all on there because it's all the Bald Wizard's work. So he's been killing it with that stuff. And yeah, yeah. I wish I could remember all the stuff, but there's just a lot of stuff.
Well, everyone listening will have to go check it out to see for themselves.
That's
I haven't
right.
seen the boxers yet, so I can only imagine what I'm
I
going to
think
see
I
when
have.
I
I
think
go look.
I have a pair in my cart right now.
yeah, I think they're more of a Gitchy than a boxer, though. To be fair,
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm after. So,
yeah, that's right.
Sweet.
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate it again, and definitely look forward to seeing more videos and content from you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Take care.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed that interview. I know Brandon and myself did. That was a really fun one to do. Awesome guy to talk to, as you could tell from that interview. We'll definitely have to have him on again to kind of get maybe a little bit more technical about the lake trout fishing and whatnot, because we really actually didn't get too much to the lake trout fishing itself and techniques and stuff, but definitely would be a good guy to learn some tricks and tips from, with basically, like you said, that being his main species that he's targeting up there. But what did you think about it, Brandon?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. What like just a great guy to chat with, and we definitely enjoyed the conversation after we were done recording too. I mean, he's just so easy to get along with and carry on a conversation. He did mention that he forgot to state his biggest walleye when we asked that question. So he wanted us to make sure everyone knew that his biggest walleye is a 29.9-inch walleye.
So close.
And that is that. So, but now he just chases big mama lake trout. He definitely, in the conversation afterwards, he definitely got into a little bit more details on what some of his goals are. Once he got thinking about it with fishing, we'll leave that for you guys to ponder on, and definitely stay tuned to his YouTube channel. You can find him on YouTube, Justin Jenkins Assorted Meats, on Instagram, of course, and follow his journey, watch his videos. They're funny, and of course, go check out his merch. Buy yourself a pair of weenie boxers and support the guy.
Yeah, they're more of a gitchy.
Oh yeah, they're more of a gitchy.
Yeah, and once again, just want to say how excited we were to be partnering with Blackfish Gear and the Saskatchewan Wildlife Federation. I think that's something that should be pretty interesting for the future, and kind of teasing again that Sask Wildlife has some big things coming up in the woodworks here. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But also like to mention 13 Fishing here. You can head over to their website, get stocked up for your spring fishing, whatever that may be for. You can use our code Weekend Warriors for 15% off anything on the 13 Fishing website. I've still got a couple things to buy here. I'll probably be buying a new rigging setup. And when I say new, I didn't have one before, so it'll be the first time for me here. Probably getting a casting rod as well. Just some things to spend some money on, that's for sure. How about yourself?
Yeah, I got my heavy haul of gear. Little choked about how much I ended up spending. But I mean, once you get going, right, you just keep adding. You're like, oh, I could use that. I could use this. Oh, I should upgrade that. And next thing you know, your cart's double what you were initially budgeting. But fishing's not cheap, but it doesn't need to be expensive either if you don't want it to be. So definitely take advantage of that discount code if you are looking for anything new. I am getting ready. I just bought a couple new pike lures, a couple Repel, a couple Savage gear, and I'm kind of gearing up. Like I mentioned in the last episode, I'm boatless right now. I don't know if I'm going to have a boat this year. Can't find anything half decent used. Might have to really, get used to kayak fishing and see what can be done in Saskatchewan on a kayak. But thank you everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate all the support, and stay tuned for the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Weekend Warriors Fishing Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to leave a review on your favorite listening platform so we can reach more anglers just like you. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for media updates and behind-the-scenes content.